So in the last video, we saw what the Walmart special HP Pavilion Gaming Desktop is capable of when we add one of those NVIDIA RTX 2060s. My specific one is from EVGA. Very good step up, but is it good enough for the money you have to pay for the graphics card upgrade? That's up to you guys, how much you are willing to spend and how much more powerful you want to make that computer. Some of you may, got it for a very cheap price, around $399. So investing in better graphics card, some other upgrades possible, might worth it. But yeah, I'm here to show you what the performance is going to be, what you can expect before you go out there and spend your own money. Now it's a time to step up our game and add one more step above the 2060, and this is the 2070. This one is from Asus, the Dual Mini. This one was recently created and showcased by Asus. They created it for the new Intel NUC 9. Very small, very compact, still very powerful. I think this is the most powerful graphics card in this little format, RTX 2070. Super excited about this one. I think right now it runs around $400. This again is the cheapest powerful graphics card you can get. I mean, you can grab for roughly the same price RTX 2060 Super, but the power is kind of like give and take. In some games the 2060 Super will have sliding increase over the 2070. In some games the 2070 will be better. It comes down to a pricing. I think priced at around $420. This Asus Mini 2070, it's an excellent buy. I think it might be even better buy than 2060 Super. A lot of them are much higher pricing. Even if you get the Founders Edition with tax and everything, you probably are looking at a little over that price. So I decided to grab the 2070, again, the highest possible in this format graphics card you can get. Also only requires one 8-pin power connector for the PCI Express. We're gonna open the computer, we're gonna pop it in, run the test as always, see what kind of performance we can get, and is it worth it stepping up from 1660 Ti stock to the 2070, or it's better to just grab the RTX 2060 and run with it. So we need to find that sweet spot that everybody can go out there and grab and upgrade their computer and run with it, or similar hardware, I guess. So yeah, let's get back into installing it in the testing, and then we're gonna summarize at the end. So we're gonna do a quick unboxing before we move on to the gaming testing. As you can see, very compact box of the RTX 2070 by Asus, the Dual Mini. In addition, inside of this beautiful box, we have another pretty sturdy carbon box protecting the graphics card. Well packaged, well padded, so there will be no problem when you're ordering this one for potentially damaging itself. The only thing that is inside is a quick start guide, not like the old days when graphics card came with all kinds of goodies. Now you get pretty much nothing. We have a rubber protector on the PCI Express connector. In the back we have DVI, HDMI and a display port. And no back plate in the back. As you can see, we have 3 heat pipes direct contacting with the die, and 8-pin PCI Express connector, which is plenty of power for this graphics card. Right next to the EVGA RTX 2060. Honestly, the PCB is actually shorter on the 2070. Just the shroud and the fans are slightly longer, so both are pretty much the same size, so both you can use without any problem inside that HP Pavilion Desktop, which that's why the main reason I chose that 2070, because of the size and how easily it will fit in that same box. Backside again real quick, the 3 pipes, and we have the 8-pin connector. We have saddle lighting on top of this one, kind of a, not really RGB, but well, I guess you can be RGB if you install Aura, which I'm not planning to. But once you turn it on, will light up a little bit. Now installed inside the box, very nice, pretty good fit, and you still have about 2 inches in the backside for extra ventilation. First game we're gonna test is Fortnite, as always. And the settings we're gonna have is all epic, just for the sake of comparison and seeing what kind of frames we're gonna get, just like we did with all the graphics card before. I'm sure most of you are not playing at these settings, obviously, especially the competitive ones. I know people are doing all low with a maximum 3D so they can remove the pixelation, but right off the bat you will notice the FPS is very high, over 100, well over 100 actually. We got 120, 130, even touching about 140, 144, the maximum I have on my monitor. So the 2070 it's a great card, no matter what, and still very relative. Practically the 2070 is 2060 Super, but slightly more powerful in most games. In some games, the 2060 Super actually takes a little bit of an advantage. But we can test more games and see how that's gonna go with this card. So far, I'm really liking it. Being so compact, you can definitely use it with this little case of the HP Pavilion Desktop and some of the other pre-builds. Very good option for you to bring more power to that system if the provided 1660 Ti is not enough for you. Honestly, I absolutely love the 1660 Ti, and if I really need to, I would not be. I'm really giving you guys my perspective and doing you a favor, showing you how much more frames you can expect if you decide to upgrade. But if I'm doing personally, for me, I will stick to the provided 1660 Ti just because it's so good, so quiet, and still delivers plenty of frames for you to play. Now, obviously, if you want to play, spend the money and get something more powerful, 2060 or 2070 or 2060 Super are always a good option. And you can see, frames are staying pretty consistent, pretty much over the 100 FPS all the time, even when you have a lot of people around, when you have a lot of objects that are going to be drawn on the screen. Definitely the card is performing as expected. So far, I think maybe 5, 7 to 10 maximum frames more than what we had with RTX 2060. So does it really justify the price increase? Again, it's really up to you. If you manage to grab one of those on sale or secondhand from eBay or somewhere else for a cheaper price, yeah, by all means grab it. Same goes for the 2060, by the way. Obviously, if you get a great price, yeah, go ahead and get. But if you're buying a retail brand new, obviously that's going to set you back $400, $420 plus tax, obviously. Fortnite is great. Let's move on to the next one. And we have Pubg. That's the game I'm playing predominantly all the time. As I've told you guys before, this is the game that really kind of captured my attention for the most time, despite the fact is how unoptimized and still buggy it is and how many hackers are still there. I still like it. So again, testing with the highest possible settings, what the game is offering us. I'm not playing with these settings myself. I always lower down some things to deliver more frames and be like more competitive and see my opponents better, but for the sake of testing, as you can see, again, we're getting way over 100 FPS with this card, 120, 130, hovering, touching 140, 144, and some occasions even more than that. But again, you can expect great frames. Now, in some occasions, I notice with the 2060, even with the 2070 now, the CPU kind of usage is surpassing the graphic cards usage, indicating there might be a slight bottleneck for those graphics cards. But for the most part, they're pretty much on par, hand to hand. Moving on to the Tomb Raider, Shadow of Tomb Raider. Again, we're gonna test with the exact same settings we used for both 1660 Ti and the 2060. And right off the bat, you'll see again the frames a lot higher, 120, 130, going over 140 most of the times. And here I'm expecting again the same 5 to 10 FPS on average more than what we saw compared to the 2060, and obviously we can add another 5 to 10 FPS from what we saw compared to the 1660 Ti. So in reality, the 2070 with this specific configuration is about 20 frames more than 1660 Ti. But when the 1660 Ti is delivering frames close to 100, does these 20 or 30 matter? Not to me, obviously. If you're that close to 100, you're still gonna get very comfortable gameplay, and you're not gonna suffer with a 1660 Ti. So again, it's really up to you if you want to step up and upgrade. I think it's a great option if you have the money or you get a great deal on it. See, even where you have a lot of NPCs drawn on the screen a lot of details, the frames stay around 100, which is a great indication. Again, 2070 is a beast, and you can see we have average frames of 103. The last one with the 2060 we had at 95, so about 8 frames more. Very respectable result. And the final one is going to be the Far Cry New Dawn. Far Cry New Dawn has built a very good benchmark as well. We're going to have the same exact settings as we had with the previous game. We're going to test on high and compare the results again. But again, I'm not expecting anything spectacular. Probably another 5 to 7 FPS, just like the previous games. Very good, over 100. As you can see, we're touching some pretty high numbers, even with a lot of NPCs on the screen. And yeah, 2070, man, this is good. I'm more interested to find out at the end what temperatures we got with this card, because how powerful it is and how compact the cooling solution is. Is it really going to be efficient? And as we know, the higher temperatures we have, that okay, what do we got? 102. Okay, 102 average. Again, this is 7 frames more than the 2060. So yeah, as we expected. All right, back to the temperatures. So the maximum boost was 1935, but the card was hovering more around 1800, 1820. Temperatures of the CPU are pretty low because of that upgrade of the cooling solution, and the graphics card was around 72, 73 Celsius, which is slightly higher than what we had with the 1660 Ti and the 2060. But I was not expecting anything less, obviously, with the card being more powerful, and this is what we're gonna get. All right, guys, back into the conclusion. So as you saw, this graphics card, the Dual Mini from Asus, the RTX 2060, it's a very potent card, very good. I'm actually pretty pleased with the performance, but is it worth it compared to the 2060? I don't think so. Personally, if I have to buy a video card to upgrade the stock 1660 Ti, I would go with something like the 2060. Obviously, if you are going on a second-hand market and you're able to find cheaper 2060 Super or cheaper 2070 Super, that it's going to be, again, in a smaller format, you're looking at something that it's not longer than 8.2, 8.3 inches and has the normal height of the graphics card. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fit it in this chassis. But again, I think the 2070, it's slightly better than the 2060. Obviously, by the FPS, we saw the increments from 1660 Ti around 90 FPS on most games to 95 with the 2060, and touching about 100, and now we have 100 and about 105 with the 2070. So 5 to 6, 7 FPS increments, not a huge deal in my book, honestly. If I have to really spend the money to make that kind of upgrade, I will get something to 2060. That being said, this is a great video card. I absolutely love it, especially the format, how small it is. And even if you're not using it in this specific HP computer, you can build your own mini ITX computer, stick it in there and run with it. The negatives with this card, obviously being that small, the cooling is not the best out there. I wouldn't say it's noisy, but you know, you're looking at 70 plus degrees with this graphics card, and the core clock is going, I see the highest I saw it at 1935, but obviously that was not holding During gaming, you're gonna look at around 1800, 1825, which is not the highest clock, but again, being that small, you can't really expect that much, especially with the normal 2-slot cooling that Asus are providing and the 2 fans. You have slight subtle RGB on top of it. If you're using this chassis, you're not going to benefit out of it at all. You're not going to be able to see it. But if you're using it on another ITX with side windows or anything like that, or different computers that have side windows, you're going to be able to see that. So it's kind of nice. It's not really overbearing in your face. It's very subtle, very tastefully done. Again, like I mentioned, very, very quiet compared to many other ones I've seen. Obviously, it's not going to be dead silent. But until 50 degrees, I think they have the technology of turning off the fans. So the fans are not spinning, it's going to be completely silent. And then when you start gaming, the fans are going to start spinning. One issue I'm seeing because of the no fans while is idling or like doing light work, the overall temperature in your chassis is going to raise, especially if you're using small one. If you're using it in that HP desktop, you know, being 50 degrees on the on the PCB of this graphics card, that's going to raise the overall temperature of the chassis inside as well. Being so compact, your CPU is going to bump up a little bit. So really, you need to find that sweet spot to have cooler graphics card and overall cooler CPU as well. You notice that I've already upgraded the cooling solution on that Intel 9400F. I chose the Sight Big Shuriken 3. Excellent cooler. Coming up a video with installation, instructions, and performance of that. But spoiler alert, the temperatures dropped from the stock cooler over 15 degrees. I mean, this is huge improvement. Not only the overall temperature inside the chassis is going down, reflecting on your boost megahertz of your graphics card as well. I saw increments between 15 and 20 megahertz more the graphics card is boosting because the overall temperature inside the chassis is lower. And overall, I mean, everything else is going to be cooler. Your RAM, your SSDs, having a much efficient cooler like this. Obviously, that's another investment, $45 to $48 that you guys spent. But yeah, if you really like cooler temperatures and silence, I mean, it's dead silent. This cooler is so efficient, it's so nice. But I digress. So finally, what we can say, this is a great option. If any of you are actually considering grabbing this card, I highly recommend it. Price-wise is the best, in my opinion. $420 for 2070, where you can get 2060 Super around that same price or even higher. A lot of SKUs from different manufacturers are higher. 2070 pretty much always going to beat them on the majority of the games. Very few games the 2060 Super is actually overcoming the 2070. And yeah, if you're building a small computer, ITX, or if you're trying to upgrade this HP Pavilion or some other pre-builds that are smaller form factor, this is a great choice. I personally, what I would do for myself, I will stick with something like this, the 2060 RTX from EVGA or some other company, whatever you guys prefer. I really like this card because it's 3 slots, dissipates heat like crazy. I mean, it's keeping the card very cool. The fan is very quiet. It boosts the GPU to 2020 megahertz. I mean, this is very impressive in that small case. If you have this in a bigger one, it's probably going to have a little bit more room as well. Again, without anything overclocking, this card is great. And 5 FPS difference between this one and this one. I mean, really, especially if you can grab it at secondhand a lot cheaper for around 250 maybe. I think it's achievable. I think that's a great deal. But regardless, that's pretty much it, guys. I wanted to show you what kind of incremental step up increase of FPS you're gonna have when you have different video cards, all the way from 1660 Ti to RTX 2060 to RTX 2070. And obviously in the future, we're gonna have more and more games that are using ray tracing. So having an option between the 2060 and 2070, it's always good if you want to benefit some of these goodies coming up in the games. Obviously, that's going to bring down the FPS on an overall, but that's just a different subject. Great choices. If you guys want to grab one of those cards, go around and look. Don't rush to buy. See if you can get something used maybe on eBay. Scout some deals. Try to get the cheapest possible, because if you keep it as cheap as possible, hey, the better. You know, you can save some money. Add it to something else like better cooling, more SSDs, or higher NVMe, or whatever it is. Enough for me rambling. Let me know what else you guys want to see with this computer. Obviously, I'm going to have a video coming up with this cooling solution upgrade. I'm going to show how I added additional SSD drive and what else possibly you can upgrade to make it even better. But so far, I'm very, very impressed. I mean, for the price, I paid $499, and I'm still very impressed and happy with it. I can't even imagine being one of you guys that paid $399, which is unbelievable deal at this point, that you can get a computer like this. And even if you stick with the 1660 Ti, you're going to be plenty happy for at least a couple of years. That card has plenty of power, and if you don't really care about RTX and ray tracing, any of these new quote-unquote features, you're going to be plenty happy. I mean, this is a very, very good video card. Power supply, absolutely significant. I'm going to make a separate video on power draw, using the 1660 Ti, using the 2060, using the 2070, and see how much power we are drawing from the wall. But this 400 watt platinum power supply that HP are using is absolutely rock solid. Even the fan is not spinning. It's so cool. Even with the 2070, you know, 2070, I popped it in. Software shows that the card itself is drawing 180 watts. But overall, the computer is probably not even passing 250 or 270, guaranteed. You know, I'm throwing that number out there, but when we test it, you guys gonna see absolutely no problem with this graphics card and this 400 watt platinum power supply that HP are providing. And like I mentioned before, they use many video cards with that exact power supply. You have different SKUs with that power supply, and you can configure computers with up to 2070 Super with it. So that's a clear indication that they know what they're doing. These power supplies go through a severe, huge testing to make sure that they can not only sustain what they're putting in, but kind of have a big reserve on additional upgrades that you guys might have inside. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much for joining me again for this video. Stay tuned for the next ones coming up. Hit the thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you're new. Give me a support so I can continue to bring you these kind of testing and videos for you guys to enjoy and help you navigate and decide what you want to do in the future and how do you want to upgrade your pre-built computers. I have tons of other pre-builds that are sitting over here that I'm going to continue to review. I'm well behind, but I have 3 or 4 other ones from Lenovo, from HP again. Then I'm going to show you guys what you can do with them, how much you can improve to get some better frames. That's it. Till next time, guys. You have a wonderful day.